making some homemade ham and potato soup, and I used the recipe that my mom gave me, and y'all, it is so freaking good. So you will need to get one of those ham steaks, and then also I got some of those onion things to chop up, and then potatoes. I just got a whole bag of potatoes, and I did the whole entire bag peeled and then cut up into little pieces because I already knew we could eat on it tonight and then again tomorrow. But this recipe is super, super easy, you guys, and I'm telling you right now, like, if you make it, it is going to be so freaking good if you just watch every single step that I make. So for the next step, I'm just going to be taking this ham and I'm going to be cutting it up into little tiny squares. It's really not hard at all. It's pretty self-explanatory. And yes, you want to leave some of the fat that's around the edges on it because let me just tell you, it is going to give the soup some flavor. These onions that I'm using is actually garden onions, so I know it looked a little bit different to me, but I grabbed them because I was like, why not? Those are still actual onions. And honestly, the onions is just to give the soup flavor. Because I'm the first one to say I actually hate onions. I do not get onions on anything. But in this type of meal, you don't actually see the onions because you cut them so little and then they just kind of dissolve with the ham before you ever even put them into the potatoes. And my kids don't even notice it because it's only for flavor. But you cook it on about medium heat until you literally have the ham cooked and all that. And then as you can see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle a good couple handfuls of flour in there. And then I'm going to stir it around. And I also poured in a little tiny bit of oil in there with it. Just a little tiny couple drops. And then after I get done stirring the flour in, what I did was I got some cold water. And it was still on about medium heat. And then you're going to stir it around. And it's going to make like a little bit of like a gravy type stuff. And you just keep adding your water mixture into the flour. And it just makes your own little homemade like gravy type mixture. But I promise, just trust the process. As you can see, the gravy mixture has already started once I started putting the flour and then adding the water. And it's all up to you about how much flour and how much water you want to add. I just do it by eye. That's what I do. And then I add some of these red pepper flakes, and y'all, it just gives it some really good flavor in your soup. Super, super good. So it's now time to dump it into where the potatoes are. And I forgot to mention earlier, you do not drain the water that you cooked your potatoes in. There's no need to drain it because you're going to use that as like the base before you ever even add the milk in. So it's just the same exact water, you just transfer it from the pan to the pot where the potatoes are. Then the next step is I add some milk. And as you can see, I do pour quite a bit of milk, you guys. But the milk is what's going to give it that really good creamy taste. If you're from the South, then you already probably know all about some good homemade potato soup. By the way, Mom, if you're watching this, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me this recipe. This is literally my second time ever making it. The first time it turned out good, but it was a little bit more milky than I wanted it to be. But this time I did it perfect. Like the kids and everyone was just like bragging on me so freaking much. But as you can see, I did add some garlic powder, some onion powder, and then now we just added the cheese. Y'all, it was so freaking delicious. You will not regret trying this.